Everyone, welcome into TexAgs Rewind presented by Specs. Looking to freshen up your happy hour with cocktail recipes that are sure to impress. You'll find it all at specsonline.com. I'm going there right now. Okay, I'm not. But that being said, you should. Specs is awesome. So today's show was fun. We had a lot to talk about. I'm going to ask the people what they thought was the best part of the program. So, Kaylee Dreyer at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, your favorite part of the show today?
My favorite had to be Andrew Monaco.
Great answer.
He had some great basketball thoughts.
Wonderful answer. Really good. I know what Cade's going to say. I already know. But let's just let Cade say Josh Pate. Go ahead, Cade. Go ahead.
What if I told you since Luke showed me some love earlier, I'm going to show him some love. I'm going to say he was my favorite part of the show. Okay. All right. Well, you would be wrong. And Josh Pate was great, okay, which was expected. So let's see who else. OB. And the guy he does the go hour with, fantastic. All that and more. It is the Rewind. Performance of the week time.
Well, I have to go with the low-hanging fruit. The guy I was watching, Wade Taylor against LSU. He was partying like it's 1999. In fact, he has 1,999 points after that game. 1999, which makes him the all-time leading scorer at Texas A&M basketball history.
Safe bet he's going to get to over 2,000?
I'm going to go out on that limb. I'm going to bank on it. It's going to be my bank on it. Yeah, Wade Taylor. You know what? He made what was it? 3 of 7 3-pointers. Yep. I think all 3 of them are early in the game. I know he hit one where he broke the Bernard King record, and it was a deep 3-pointer from right in front of the A&M bench, and it was spectacular. And man, he started fast, never slowed down. I think he had 11 points in the first 6 minutes.
Yeah,
you know. Just outstanding. And it appeared to me that he might have scored 30 that night. It appeared to me that Buzz maybe wanted to rest him a little bit and took him out of the game kind of early and didn't play him as much as maybe he could have. But when they needed him,
he was there.
They put him in there, and he helped them nail down that win. So a spectacular night, spectacular week, spectacular year, spectacular career for Wade Taylor.
How about we do the Aggie defense? Okay.
Especially in the second half.
Especially in the second half. I think overall in the game they shot 30%, LSU did, but 22% in the second half. At one point they missed 13 straight shots.
Yeah.
It was a suffocating defense. And I don't want to say it's the kind of defense that we've gotten used to.
At one point they were shooting like 8.9%. Yeah. And I'm talking about deep into with 10 minutes or less to go.
It's not that we've gotten used to this kind of defensive performance, but we're used to them being an excellent defensive team. And during the losing streak, they were playing really good defense, but teams had looked like they had figured them out. Last couple games, A&M's done a nice job limiting threes and making threes, especially against LSU.
Yeah, it's funny because I think Buzz was talking about that second half defense. He said, just to oversimplify it, we played harder because there was a stretch for about 7 or 8 minutes when LSU was just lighting up A&M.
Yeah.
And then it was like they flipped the switch. Switch is on. Just flipped it to off, and LSU was done.
LSU was done. The other one I wanted to point out, Emily Kennedy, who on Friday night had a phenomenal performance. Look, she pitched very well against Florida. They didn't end up winning the series, but she was fantastic. But it better feel like the trajectory, the arrow's pointing up.
Yeah, it's also a little different. I used to always think of year 2 as the year where you really start to see it. Whatever that program is, you start to see it. It's always been transition based in year 1, no matter what the era, when you take over a program, especially if your predecessor got fired. In this era, I talked with Elko last week a lot about Kalen DeBoer because they both took over programs at the same time. Now, DeBoer's taking over for a guy who steps away and retires. Elko's taking over for Jimbo, but kind of the same things in play there in a sense that in year 1, in this particular era, you're dealing with something no one's ever had to deal with before in the history of coaching this sport. And that is knowing that after your first spring practice, after your first winter conditioning session and your first spring practice, there's an exit door, penalty-free, that your entire roster could walk out of. And so it could happen, it couldn't happen, and you're in limbo and whatnot. Well, the point is in year 2, they've had 3 exit doors. Your roster has had 3 exit doors they could have hit on you. So by year 2, everyone on the team actually wants to be on the team and wants to play for you. Not to mention you start to infuse your freshman class, but more importantly, you start to infuse your first sprinkling of portal guys. You have either confirmed or shot down the notion that you hired the right staff right out of the gate. You've gotten a good lay of the land. You've in his case already knew his opponents, but you've gotten a good feel for how the league reacts to you, how you react to the league. So yeah, in a lot of ways, the year two elements, they overlap era to era, but I just think the portal thing's so unique because it used to just be that your roster is going to be your roster. You can't assume that anymore. Now, year two, moving on, your roster actually is your roster.
I know Aggie baseball has not had the start that we were expecting or wanting, but when they write A&M Athletics, the movie, okay, there's going to be a huge section on what's happening right now on campus that you get a front row view to. Jace and Wade breaking all-time records. Jace is very close. Wade just did it. Just from your seat, talk about covering them as close as you have and seeing them grow.
To see Bernard King there, I love what records do. It allows fans of now to learn more about the history of that sport or the school. That's what I love. When you see that list, when you see Joseph Jones and you see Vernon Smith and you see A.C. Law, when you see that there are only 2 jerseys in the rafter, now it's a combination of the eras and the history, and we get to talk about those. Like at the end with Wade, just before he came on with us post-game at LSU, like I asked Dr. Thornton, I had the list of the 5 players. Tell me about these 5 who are on this list that Wade's at the top. That's what I like. To have Dalen Holt cheering Jace, right? Yeah. To say, yeah, go ahead, break it. But don't forget, I had 34 in a season, right? Yeah. That's what I love. That's what I love about Dalen. To have John Sheshik say that Jace has a chance to be the best baseball player ever on this campus, to work with someone who was a great baseball player, Dave Elmendorf, right? Like these eras are there, but when players recognize players as well. When we had Mike Evans on our broadcast on Tuesday before the tip, and here's Mike, right? Yeah. Canton bound, right? Here's him watching Wade cross sports. And of course, Mike played at Galveston ball as well. That's what makes it special for me, that it's not just 2025 Wade Taylor IV. The other thing is, to be courtside with a lot of special moments, but to see who Wade Taylor IV has become as a player, I'm even divorcing myself from the person, because you see his dad's like, you've got an incredible young man there. That's just as important.
But I think of it more as a team concept where Wade is sometimes the headliner.
Yeah, and that's, I think the best part of it is going into this season, if you wanted someone to take the last shot, it would be Wade, right?
Sure.
The Oklahoma game told us that if needed, Zurich Phelps can hit a big shot.
Or Manny can hit a big shot.
The Ole Miss game showed us that if needed, Manny can hit a big shot. And Wade reminded everyone that he can still do it against Missouri. And Houston,
which we didn't win, but
they didn't win that game. But in the biggest moment of the season, someone who took maybe a dozen threes the entire year hit. We could probably say that's one of the top 10 shots in A&M basketball history.
Sure.
Anderson Garcia hit
it would have meant a lot more had they finished it.
Exactly.
But regardless.
But still, you have guys who can make the final and most important shot. And that's ultimately what it might come down to in March. A&M can play great. They can have a good matchup or a bad matchup. But if it's a close game, who do you trust on this A&M team? You trust a lot of people, and you trust an A&M team that's like, what, 8-3 or 8-4 in 1 or 2 possession games this year? That's ultimately what matters.
That's March, by the way.
Exactly. That's why I think if there was ever a year for the SEC to finally break through that poor March performance curse, it's this year. Because all these teams have been playing really close, really physical games, and what comes down to in March is who can win in the final 2 minutes, and that's what A&M has done a lot this year.
All right, let's. I know that Jerry Palm has got A&M as a 2 seed. I think Lenardi's.
He's drinking he is full on chugging maroon Kool-Aid.
But it's about time, buddy. I think Lenardi's got 3. They're everywhere from a couple 2s, a few 3s, and I think a couple 4s still, right?
Yeah, it's out of the 108 updated brackets, Jerry Palm is the only one with A&M as a 2 seed.
Okay.
86 have A&M as a 3, and then 18 have A&M as a 4.
So I know that the feeling is the SEC tournament will not really matter in coloring your resume. It can, but not. I don't know if enough to move up a line. What can they do, if anything, to get a 2 seed? What can they do, if anything, to avoid a 4 seed?
Okay, let's attack that first part, because in my bracketology update that I posted, I still had people, and I actually, for one, am happy that there are still A&M fans willing to die on that hill that A&M should be a 2 seed, because it's good to have actual positive support for a sport and people seeing, hey, this team should be better than what they're getting respect-wise. I am of the mindset that the committee historically is going to do what they continue to do, which is reward teams that win power conferences. And right now, the spots for 2 seeds are dwindling.
Okay, Dreyer, tell the people what to do.
Like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Anything else?
Tell people.
There you go. That's all I wanted. Just one extra step. It's not that, I mean, you know, how awkward would it be, though, if you're having like a dinner party and people are over and you're like, guys, by the way, seriously, if you haven't listened to TexAgs Rewind or TexAgs Live, you should. I think it would be an awkward, but unless A&M Athletics came up. You're just going to agree with me. You're just giving me a look. You're ready for this to end. No, it'd be awkward. No.
I wouldn't do it.
Cade, next time you get to do the close, Kaylee is not worthy anymore. We'll see you next time.